This is episode 13 of season 4, Alone.
So this episode starts off with like a flashback of Bob when he was alone before he found the group, and he's just kind of like wandering around, and there's this like like
Yeah.
music in the background, and he's like dealing with walkers and stuff like that, and he finds this like I don't know, it's like is it a shack or is it just like
I don't know. It looks like a mine shaft. I mean, it's not. It looks like a mine shaft entrance. It's
yeah it
yeah. I guess I'm
does.
not. I'm not entirely sure what that is. Yeah, it's like some kind of culvert or something. Yeah.
But he like puts up some sticks
Sticks.
essentially,
Yeah.
like
He like
thicker sticks, yeah.
chops some small
Um,
trees down or gets some branches and
yeah,
yeah.
and branches, yeah. And he like puts them up to stop walkers from getting in this little alcove, I guess,
Uh
that
huh.
he found. And it even shows him like lying down in there,
And
and
just
there's
watching a
right.
walker like trying to
Mhm.
get him, pushing against these sticks.
Right. But like those definitely would have come down.
Yes.
Two, he's watching like the walker is right there. Like we've talked about this before. If they can like so they spread the illness by biting, and then
Mm-hmm.
like their saliva is so infected it like gets in you and kills you, and then you become a walker. But like so this walker should be like spitting and stuff on him
Mm-hmm.
or bleeding on him, and it's just it's inconsistent to like that never really happens
That's
where
true.
someone turns that way, but it should happen here. And then he like leaves that spot and is like continue walking, and he finds this truck in the middle of the road, and he climbs up, and he's like, "Yeah, this is a good place to lay." And it shows like a bird's eye view shot. I guess not quite bird's eye view, but it
Mm-hmm.
shows a shot going up of him like laying on the truck, and there's like all these walkers walking around, but the truck is like filled with leaves and like branches and stuff that have fallen, and he doesn't even like attempt to sweep them off, and that just seems unrealistic to me. Like I feel like if I was in that situation, I would have swept the branches off to try to make it at least not as dirty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. They're probably trying to say how like hopeless he is, how he just
Yeah.
doesn't care, like how he's drinking that strange like booze.
Yeah.
It's labeled like lazy boy or something. It's some kind of strange cheap
Plot
booze he
twist.
found.
It's actually furniture polish.
It might be. It almost. I think it's supposed to be alcohol, but yeah, it almost looks like cough syrup or something. Like yeah,
Um, and
that
then
that oh
he
that would be a better intro. That would be more. Oh, okay. They should have done like a similar intro, but it's like him in like all of these different situations, like drinking a different like household cleaner or like it's like something not meant to be ingested but like
right.
showing how he's like
This
he
is
doesn't care,
Lysol.
he's just
This
yeah
is
he's just
bleach. Like
yeah he's drinking bleach, he's like drinking cough syrup, he's drinking like antifreeze, he's just and it's just like that song like that poignant song, but it's just him like guzzling all these inedible things.
and
It's
then
like I don't care anymore.
and then Daryl and Glenn find him, and they ask him their normal questions like how many walkers have you killed,
Mm-hmm.
and he says like I don't know, I didn't count, like maybe a couple dozen, and it feels like if you've been in the world this long, you've probably killed more than a couple dozen.
I mean, quite possibly. I guess on the other hand, like he might have been avoiding them, like running away from them. I
That's
don't know. I
true.
mean,
That's
no,
true.
because I think that's fair. I think it's also possible that like people who aren't the main characters maybe
Just avoid, not
yeah, like
don't
I
kill
like
as
only
much.
kill them when it's absolutely necessary and they're not as good at doing it. Yeah.
That seems totally valid.
Thank you.
And then it was like, how many people have you killed? And he said just one. And the third question is why.
Hmm.
And he said because she asked
She
me
asked
to.
me to.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And so then
Hmm.
they like let Bob come back to their camp with them and like put him in the back of the truck, and Glen's driving the truck, But Daryl's driving his motorcycle, and that just seems like extra wasteful with gas. Gas is pretty scarce at this point. Like, why
true.
are you gonna drive a truck and a motorcycle?
Yeah. Oh no, it's pretty silly. It's just because Daryl
would've-
wants to be cool.
It would have been really funny to see Glenn on the back of Daryl's motorcycle.
That would have
like,
been funny.
holding on.
And it's like, oh wait, like I guess we can't take you back.
Right,
Can three of
right.
us can 3 of us fit on here?
That would have been funny.
That would have been. Oh, and so then and like after they ask him those questions, then they're like, "Do you have any questions for us?" And he's like, "No." And they're like, "Really?" And he's like,
It doesn't
"I don't."
matter.
He's like, "It doesn't matter." You
It
know?
doesn't matter who
Oh,
you are.
oh, you got any bleach? It's like, oh wait, no,
about
wait,
toilet bowl
that's
cleaner?
actually super important. Like, wait. There is one question that I need an answer to. Do you have household products for me to drink?
That would have been funny.
That would have been.
Okay, so after the intro, it just like picks up where we had left off before.
So it like because
They're,
then
like,
it
in all
goes. Then they're in this fog or smoke.
fog,
Yeah, they're in this like fog and they're
I was gonna
fighting
say
walkers.
mist.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they're fighting walkers.
And by they, I guess we mean
oh yes,
Bob, Maggie, and Sasha.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. They're just fighting walkers.
Yeah, they're fighting walkers,
in
and
the
then
fog.
they get done with that, and
Oh, and then they find the first thing about Terminus.
right, that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like Maggie's like this, like throughout the episode, Maggie's like, I gotta find Glenn, and Sasha's like, he's dead, you fool, and Bob's
Right.
like, I want a threesome with the two of you and this bottle of Mr. Cleaning liquid. Like,
So I guess we should preface that like this episode goes back and forth between like Maggie, Bob,
yeah.
and Sasha, and Beth and Daryl. So let's like just do one storyline at a time instead of trying to remember where it switches back and
no,
forth.
I think that's
Okay.
yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, okay, just like first Terminus. I get that it's like where all the trains meet. It's the terminal, but from the very first time that I watched the show, I was like, that is not a good place because it sounds like you're going to get terminated.
That's reasonable. It sounds like it's the end of your life.
Yes,
It sounds
yeah.
like it's the terminus, like you know, the end of it's kind of ominous sounding. Yeah, I mean, they could have called it something else if they weren't cannibals. Yeah, or even if they were. You know.
And so, okay. So yeah, Maggie's like, we have to find Glenn. Like, that's where Glenn's gonna go. And Bob's like, we're not splitting up. We'll go with you. And the whole time, Sasha's like, this is a bad idea. We should not be doing this. We should just, like, find a new place to, like, camp. And Maggie overhears Sasha saying that one night. And so in the morning, she just leaves and leaves this message that's like, don't risk your lives for me. Good luck, or something like that.
Yeah, and like Sasha wakes up, and then Bob is like staring at it intensely, and it's like, how long has he been reading it? Yeah.
And Bob's like, we can still catch up with her. We can do it. And Sasha's like, okay, I guess. And they're having these like heart-to-heart conversations while walking on the railroad, and he's like, everyone died in my first group, and then everyone died in my second group, so like still having people, like I'm so happy about that. And it's like, that sounds like you killed everyone in your first two groups if you were the only person that lived from both. Like,
yeah, well, because he was saying like when we were at the prison, I was just waiting till like I would be the last one. I was just sure that, you know, I'd be the only one who lived. Yeah, you know, and it does kind of sound like.
So, like, okay, with that, if you were the only one that lived, I still find it implausible that he's only killed, like, a couple dozen walkers.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
I don't know. And so Maggie's on her own, and she keeps seeing terminus signs.
Yeah, yeah. So she keeps seeing terminus signs, and then she's like, at one point, she's going to write Glenn a message.
And, like,
she's gonna carve it into this like piece of metal.
Yeah. It's like an electric box.
Yeah,
or
something like that. Yeah, so
probably
she's,
for the trains.
right, probably. Yeah, I would think so. But then she sees a walker, and she's like, oh, okay. So she slices open the walker and uses its guts to write a message to Glenn. And then I have an issue with, she keeps doing this. She does this over and over.
Like every terminus song.
Yeah, like every, like writing this message using walker guts. And you can't wash your hands. You don't have anything to wipe your hands on. Like, she would get infected with something.
Yes, this should be infecting her.
Like she's covering her hands. She could at least get fashion a paintbrush out of like a stick or something. Like it's, you don't have to just like
dip your
shove
whole body
your hands
into this dead walker.
She's like, I'm gonna like cover my body in this, and then like do one of those like paintings where you like roll around on the canvas.
Yes.
Like, she's like, Glenn will get it. Or like she leaves like her like butt and boob prints, in Walker. Or she's like, he'll know what this means.
He'll know it's me. And okay, so she's still on her way, and Bob and Sasha are still walking, and then Sasha sees a building, and she's like, we could make that a camp, and we could grow vegetables there, and blah, blah, blah. And Bob's like, I'm not stopping. And she says, yes, we are. And he turns, he's like, no, I'm not stopping. I'm going to find Maggie. Which is weird, because at this point, like, Bob and Sasha have been flirting the whole time. And I think at this point, they actually kissed.
Oh, yeah, I think they are together. Yeah.
But he's acting like he's in love with Maggie. He's like, I'm going to find Maggie.
It seems that way. Yeah.
And, so he keeps going, and Sasha goes up to this building that she's totally right. I think it could be a good camp for them. Mm-hmm. Like, it's like an attic type type space in the building. Seems very clean. Uh-huh. Like, it'd be very difficult for walkers to get up there, because these walkers do not know how to climb stairs, supposedly. Mm-hmm. Like, we haven't seen them climb anything since the tank that Rick was in.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Yeah, in the first season.
Yeah.
And then she, like, sees something out the window, and she thinks it's strange, so she, like, presses her whole body against the window.
And it just falls out. Right? The whole frame just comes out.
Yeah. And it crashes down. And there's, like, I guess the ones that she's laying near are dead bodies.
Yes.
So there's, go ahead.
Oh, no. So, so Maggie is out there. There's like a ring of vehicles, like an ice cream truck, and then some other cars that are just like parked in a circle outside of this building. And Maggie is asleep on the ground, and then she's woken up when the window falls out. But she's asleep on the ground out there, like right next to, is it 3 walkers?
Yeah.
Who are dead. But she's just like sleeping on the ground.
Like, what?
I don't know. It makes me wonder if there was a miscommunication in the script or something when they were filming, because it it makes no sense. It looks like she killed these walkers and then was just like, okay,
I'm
time
tired.
for sleep, and just laid down right next to them. I don't know if she was playing dead.
Yeah.
Maybe she thought it would protect her because she would look like a dead body. I don't know.
Yeah. Later Sasha asks her, like, why were you out there? And she said, like, I was waiting for you. Like, I can't do it on my own. And like, it's like, okay, but still, like, did you expect us to see your body?
Right. Like, yeah. Yeah, because it was hidden behind the cars. Mm-hmm. Unless you were looking at it from above, like Sasha was, because she, like, went up in that building.
Like, Maggie should have just gone into the building, too.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah,
she could have... It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. She could have gone up in the building to sleep. She could have gotten on top of a car.
Yeah.
And anything,
like the ice cream truck.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because Okay, so then the window falls out, it hits the ground, Maggie wakes up, and then some walkers like immediately emerge from behind the ice cream truck. Then
Mm-hmm.
it's like bam, they are like they were just like right there.
Yeah.
Just like lurking right out of view right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so then like her and Sasha kill the walkers, and Maggie's using this. I don't know where she got this. Like, it's like a no parking sign or something,
On
like a
like
street sign.
the pole still.
Right. Well, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And she's, of course, she's using that like it's an axe or something. That
Very
that would not
easily.
work. Yeah, that would be like catching the wind, and like
Mm-hmm.
it wouldn't be sharp like that.
Right.
It wouldn't be heavy enough. Yeah, that's it's very silly.
And so that's when they have the conversation, and Maggie was like, I thought I couldn't ask you to risk your life for me, but I can.
Yeah.
It's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I was pretty like iffy about going with you before. Now I'm like really iffy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, like this dialogue is not it. I think Maggie's saying like I because because she's like you're afraid, and Sasha's like I am afraid, and that's like earlier Bob was saying to
you're
her like
afraid.
I was afraid before that everyone would die, but you don't need to be like you're afraid, you don't need to be afraid, I don't need to be afraid.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like any of their interactions make a lot of sense, because it's like what like what are you guys talking
Right.
about, especially this with
Mm-hmm.
Maggie and Sasha, because yeah, it's just like I am afraid, and then she's like I thought I couldn't ask you to risk your life, but I can, because I know like now I
Because
know
you're afraid.
what you'd be risking it for, and it's like to not be afraid, I guess.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of
I
sense.
don't think it really, yeah, it just seems like somebody kind of wrote it on autopilot just to like
Write
get
something.
through, like just
Mm-hmm.
like okay, we need these characters to um, to just like have this little like oh no, they're like getting split up, but then they all end up together again.
Yeah. And so then they're like, okay, let's go find Bob. And so then it shows like Bob walking on the tracks, and then they're like Maggie's like Bob, and they're like 3 feet behind him.
Yeah.
I guess not literally, they're a little further, but they're like very close. And if they were just following the tracks, they should have seen him like a long time
Right, they were trying to
ago.
sneak up on him, I
Yeah.
guess. Like maybe they heard him farting into his gigantic fart dampener that he wears attached to his butt, and they were like, "Okay, let's wait a while so he's not embarrassed
His
when
like
we say hello."
his sleeping bag is hanging from his backpack right at his
Uh
butt
huh. It's this
level.
gigantic. Yeah,
um,
they forced him to wear it that way,
and
so that
so
they were going to accompany him.
So at the very, very end of like their storyline,
Yeah.
we see Glenn finding one of Maggie's notes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh huh. Yeah. Yeah. And that's the conclusion to their story, which feels like it takes up most of the episode.
Yeah.
It's the most boring one, I think. It's very uninteresting.
This whole
there.
episode is
Oh yeah, this
uninteresting.
is I think this is one of the most boring
Yeah.
episodes possibly of the series, because it just it's just them wandering around. Um,
We've actually had to rewatch this one because it was so boring we forgot what
yes.
happened. Okay, so on the flip side, what's happening with Beth and Daryl,
Yeah.
and I just hate everything about it. So,
Their continuing sexual tension
yes.
results in them like, oh, go ahead.
So it starts out with like Daryl's teaching Beth how to track. And so she has like the crossbow up, and like Daryl's right behind her. And
She's
she's
like,
like, right, she's like, are we getting close?
Oh, we're getting close.
Right. He's like, yeah. And she's like, how do you know? And he's like, it's instinct. Like,
Instinct.
right. And it's just like, stop this. Stop it now. This is so gross.
Gently finger the trigger.
I'll do it for you. And then so she sees this walker that like I guess has a gun. I didn't see a gun, but she says he has a gun.
Yeah. He's eating a rabbit. Like he's eating something.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And instead of like shooting from a reasonable distance because she has a bow and arrow. And no, bow and what are they? Not arrows.
Oh, crossbow and bolts.
Crossbow, yeah, bolt. Yeah. She decides to get pretty damn close to it and steps on like a bear trap.
I mean, some kind of trap, yeah. Which I think is like just super convenient because there just happens to be one right there. Like no one's been stepping on traps this whole like it's not
and
like
a walker hasn't stepped in this and it's like on the ground. So she steps in it and like her foot gets hurt and Daryl has to go kill the walker so it doesn't eat Beth. And then so she's hurt but she can walk and they keep going on. And they find a grave, a cemetery, like in front of a house, and they're going through it. But you had a really good point about this.
Thank you.
About like the grass and stuff in front of the house and the cemetery is like not overgrown.
Right.
And what was your idea?
Well, so I don't know if this is something that they could have done. It's probably something that they would have considered it too much hassle to go to, and like I might have overcomplicated things, but I think when they were making the show, they could have decided for at least certain places they're going to film at, like locations. Mm-hmm. They could have said, okay, we want to film here. Could you not mow the lawns or like mow this cemetery for a couple of weeks at least before we come and film here, and kind of like make it look a little bit overgrown, make it look like it's not being maintained,
right?
Because I think it kind of takes you out of the idea that this is a post-apocalyptic world when
all the grass is cut.
Yeah, just like everywhere they go, it's like someone's been mowing this grass. Like this is not.
There's actually a breed of walkers that just
eats the grass.
Oh,
okay. But yeah, like or someone's been like attaching lawnmowers to them or something.
And they just walk around in circles and mow the lawn. Sounds like something Michonne would do.
It does.
Oh, sorry. And so like Daryl gives her a piggyback ride into this house and they see a tombstone that says like loving father, and Beth gets all emotional about it. And okay, so they go into this house. They put
some flowers on it. And then they hold hands very
I forgot about the hand holding.
Very erotically. They just rip their palms together and rub them hard. Interlock their fingers.
Stop it.
They like it.
No one else does.
So whoever decided, like whoever wrote, I think they must have been like just like the writers must have been talking and they were like, someone was like, how about we make Daryl and Beth a couple, and everyone was like, so hot.
It's the worst. It's the worst.
It is. It's a very weird. Yeah. But anyway, yeah.
So they get into this house.
And it's a funeral home.
It is, yes. And so there's like dead bodies everywhere, but they are like actual dead bodies, like not walkers.
Or I think they might have. I think they were walkers. At least like some of them. Like I think they were walkers who like
got put down.
Someone killed.
Okay.
And then was like applying makeup and stuff and like giving them funerals.
Okay.
Like I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that was
sense.
the implication, because Beth was saying like, don't you see it's beautiful, because like someone saw that these were still people, or and was trying to.
That makes more sense.
Like give them, like still treat them like people, and but anyway, there's like bodies around, like somebody's been, but like no one's in this house.
Right. And so they go to the kitchen, they're looking for food, and they find a cabinet of food, and they're like, oh yeah. And then Daryl notices that none of the food has dust on it, and so he's like, oh, these, like, this is their stash, like, they just put this in here, so we're just gonna take what we need and leave the rest.
Yeah.
But then
And
they end
then
up like staying in this house for several days and eat like basically all the
it
food.
seems like, yeah, like by the end, there's just a couple of cans of something in there, and yeah, they've like, I mean, there wasn't very much food to begin with, so it was
Right.
like kind of a silly thing for them to say, but yeah, they end up eating all of it. They eat the jelly, they eat the pig's feet,
Ugh.
they eat the Diet Cola, they
Mm-hmm.
eat peanut butter.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
so there's like a little like I mean it's a funeral home, but they have like this one area where you can
Oh
probably
yeah, they have
hold
like
a
the body,
funeral.
like yeah,
Mm-hmm.
or like the what is that
The
called? Like not
viewing.
like yeah, yeah, like a body viewing.
Mm-hmm.
Right where where they got like the piano and they have like a casket there
And
that's
then
like
chairs,
open and
yeah.
yeah.
And so Beth is playing the piano and singing a song like
Mm-hmm.
normal Beth. And we
Yeah.
looked it up, and this is actually one of the actress's songs.
Yes.
I mean, she's
It's
not
not
doing a
good.
fantastic
Yeah.
job singing it, and then like singing and playing at the same time, she has some hiccups. So I don't think that really does great advertising for her song.
Yeah, and I was wondering if it's supposed to be like if she's like trying to like play it not well because Beth, like if it's just if that's just like the character.
Maybe.
But I mean, she also might not know how to play the piano well. I don't know.
Yeah, that could be possible that like she's trying to.
Like trying to make it seem
Yeah.
amateurish.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then she's like playing and singing, and then Daryl
Daryl
comes in, and he's like, he gets in the
open casket. Mm-hmm.
and he's like, this is comfortable. Why don't you sing a song for me? And she's like,
I thought it was
yeah,
annoying when I sang.
and he's like, oh, it is. It's awful, but I don't know.
There's
I'm-
nothing else here.
Yeah.
um, okay, so then the next day they had like set up these little traps that like if anyone came onto the porch, like walkers, that they would like hear the cans rattle. And so they hear some cans rattling, and Daryl's all suspicious, of course, and opens the door, and it's a dog with one eye. And he tries to get the dog to come in, and the dog runs away.
He's like,
Oh.
this dog meat would go great with those pig's feet.
I forgot. Before
What?
that, he like carried Beth into the kitchen and like
Oh
a
yeah, in
bridle
a very
hold.
like yeah, very sexual fashion.
Yeah,
He
it's disgusting.
carried her in. Was just about to
Plow
have
her
sex
on the
with her,
table.
yeah, on the table, but then got distracted by the pig's feet. Yeah, he's like, okay, but first these pig's feet. These
And-
pig's feet will give me the quick energy I need.
Well, like, so Beth walks out to see the dog, and he's like, I thought I told you to stay. And, like, if he just carried her in there because her foot is so injured, but then she just walks out, and she's like, well, you
Oh
said there
yeah,
was a dog.
she seems
Uninjured.
only selectively.
Yes.
Yeah, like most of the time she seems perfectly able to stand and walk
Uh-huh.
even on her own. Yeah, I think she just wants Daryl to carry her around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so later, they hear the rattling again. And he's like, I'm going to give this dog one more chance. And takes a pig's foot with him. But doesn't, like, check the door or anything.
Right, he
which
just
is,
uh-huh.
like, stupid because, like, as the audience, you can see through the slats on the door that are there for protection that there's, like, something full grown standing there, not a dog.
Yeah, he just acts very stupid. But like I don't know. I don't think him letting his guard down that much really makes sense.
No.
It's like why? Like
Yeah.
he's like, "Oh, well, we've been safe here for like a day."
24 hours.
Yeah, I don't need to check anymore.
Right.
It's just the dog, I'm sure. But yeah, so he opens the door, and then this whole horde of walkers just pours in, and then they chase him down into the like preparation room where they work on the bodies.
He told Beth to, like, run.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. Daryl kind of like lured them down there, and like, he's killing them and like using the tables for protection, and then he ends up just kind of like getting around them.
Yeah.
And then he goes
Very
back up the,
conveniently.
yeah, he just kind of just, gets out of there. And then he runs back up the stairs, and then I think he like runs outside. And then he's like running out into the road, and then there's like this bag of
It looks
money
like,
and
yeah.
jewelry that's on the ground, and I don't remember whether that was something that like Beth took from that country club. Like has she
Mm.
had this bag of money and jewels
I don't
like
remember
this
that
whole
either,
time?
but
Yeah,
I guess
but
she must have.
it must have been from her. Yeah. And so that, yeah, and then it's like what? And then he looks and sees that this car,
Is like screeching
yeah,
away.
this, and it has like it has a Swiss cross on it. It's because it's like it's from the hospital. Like we don't know that yet,
Right.
but then they drive away, and then he's like, oh no, no, why did I stop to eat the pig's feet first? Unconsummated. Um,
And so like he gets all depressed that
Yeah.
Beth was taken.
yeah, and then like he pretty much just like sits in that spot
Yeah, in
for
the middle
like
of the road.
8 hours or
At
so, or like
least, yeah.
however long, because then
Yeah.
like then when we come back to him, the sleazeball group, who like Rick and Michonne and Carl encountered before,
Oh, I forgot that was
like
them.
yeah, the ones who were like fighting over beds and sitting fully clothed on toilets and stuff, bouncing balls. um yeah, like
That sounds
they
pretty
just,
sexual.
it is. They just walk up and like find Daryl, and like I think it's supposed to be the same.
Yeah.
It's like this crossroads, like I think it's supposed to be that like he just sat there and like was so devastated that Beth got taken that he's just apparently gonna sit there and die.
Yeah.
I mean, rather than try to go after her or anything.
And the leader's like, a crossbow guy. I like you.
Yeah. Yeah, Daryl punches him when he comes down to kiss him, I'm assuming. And then he thinks that's funny, and then Daryl's like pointing his bow at this guy, and then this guy's like, like, well, you're just gonna, they'll kill you if you kill me, so what's the point? Like, suicide is stupid. Why don't you become one of us and rape everything that moves and lots of things that don't move? Like trees, for example. It's quite fun. Have you tried it?
That's essentially the
Yeah,
end.
that's pretty much the end. Of like Daryl like lowers his bow, and yeah, and that's pretty much the end of his story. And then let's see, and then the final one was,
I think Glenn finding the note from Maggie.
wasn't there another storyline?
Mm-mm.
Okay,
No.
was it just those two?
Just those two.
That's so weird. I felt like there was another one.
No, just those two. It was a very boring episode.
Okay. Yeah, and so yeah, and like Glenn is like, okay, I'm gonna go to Terminus, find Maggie. And that is everything that happened in, I believe that was episode
13.
Yeah, 13.
Alone.
Because Bob was alone.
Yep.
Alone.